നമസ്കാരം മാഷേ.
നമസ്കാരം സാർ. നമസ്കാരം.
എവറിഥിങ് ഈസ് വെൽ സെറ്റ് അല്ലേ?
അതെ. ഏതായാലും ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട് മാറ്റിയതോടുകൂടി സ്റ്റൈലൊക്കെ മാറി.
അത് നിങ്ങളുടെ ട്രിക്കല്ലേ? വേൾഡ് ചേഞ്ചർ. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വേൾഡ് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ആളാണ്. ലോകത്ത് തന്നെ ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്.
അപ്പോ എന്താ വെച്ചാല് നേരത്തെ ആംബിയൻസിലല്ല.
പലരും ചോദിക്കുക എന്താ ഇതൊന്നും അല്ലേ?
ഒന്നുകൂടി ഒന്ന് പുറകിലേക്ക് ഇരിക്കണം തോന്നുന്നു. കഴുത്ത് വരെയുള്ളൂ അല്ലേ മുന്നോട്ട്.
അത് ഞാനത് സെറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന പോലെ ഇരിക്കുക.
അതെ, ഒന്ന് താഴ്ത്തിയാ മതി. ഓക്കെ, നൗ ഇറ്റ്സ് ഓക്കെ.
VC എപ്പോ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യാന്നാ പറഞ്ഞേ?
ഞാനൊന്നുകൂടി വിളിക്കട്ടെ സാർ.
ഒന്ന് കംഫർട്ടബിൾ ആയിക്കോട്ടെ.
ലിജേഷ് സാറിനെ ഞാൻ വിളിച്ചു.
ഓക്കെ, ഗുഡ്. ലിജേഷ് സാർ ലിങ്ക് ആയിക്കോളും ചെയ്യും അത്യാവശ്യം വരികയാണെങ്കിൽ. അതിലെല്ലാം റെഡിയല്ലേ മോനെ? എല്ലാവരും ഇല്ലേ? ശ്രീരാമൊക്കെ, ശ്രീരാം, ഭരത്, വരുൺ. അല്ല, ആദിദേവിന്റെ കാര്യം എന്താ മോനെ? ആദിദേവ് അറിയോ? അല്ല, വരുണുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടൊന്നും അറിയണം. അതും പറഞ്ഞ നമ്മള് 10:30 പോയത്. ഷൈനി മേഡം, ഷൈനി അനിൽകുമാർ മേഡം ആരാണ്? അരേ വൈഷ്ണവ്. ഓക്കെ, ഇപ്പൊ മനസ്സിലായി. ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു. വെൽക്കം.
സാറ് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു സാർ. പറഞ്ഞു എങ്ങനെയാണ് സാറ് ഒന്ന് വിളിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇനാഗുറേഷൻ, വെബ്സൈറ്റ് ജോയിന്റ് ഇനാഗുറേഷൻ പറയുമ്പോൾ 2 മിനിറ്റ് ഞങ്ങൾ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യും. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്
വെരി ഗുഡ്. കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷനും കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആയല്ലോ. കൺഫ്യൂഷൻ ഇല്ലാതെ വെരി ഗുഡ്. നല്ല കാര്യം. വെൽക്കം സന്ദേശ്. വെൽക്കം സന്ദേശ്.
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ചെറിയൊരു ആരോഗ്യ പ്രശ്നമുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ ഉണ്ടാവും, സംസാരിക്കാൻ ചെറിയ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു.
ചെറുതായിട്ടല്ലേ, ചെറിയൊരു കാര്യമല്ലേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഡോണ്ട് വറി, വിൽ മാനേജ്. എങ്ങനെയും മാനേജ് ചെയ്യണം, കുഴപ്പമില്ല. ഓക്കെ, ശരി, ആയിക്കോട്ടെ. അല്ല, മറ്റേ പ്രസിഡന്റിന് കൊടുത്തോ കാര്യം?
അതൊക്കെ കൊടുത്തില്ല സാർ.
ഓ, വെരി ഗുഡ്, വെരി ഗുഡ്. ഞാന് പ്രസിഡന്റിനെ വിളിക്കുന്നുണ്ട് വിചാരിക്കാൻ ഒന്ന് വിളിച്ചൊന്ന് ആളെ കംഫർട്ടബിൾ ആക്കാൻ വിളിച്ചതാ. കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ആ സമയത്ത് എന്നോട് ഇത് പറഞ്ഞു.
അത് ഒരു അസിസ്റ്റന്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്.
ഓക്കെ, വെരി ഗുഡ്, വെരി ഗുഡ്. ഇതാണ് ഈ കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ ഗ്യാപ്പ്.
പിന്നെ ഉച്ചയ്ക്ക് ശേഷം മുമ്പേ കൈ കിട്ടി. ഞാനൊരു സജിൽ സാർ നേരത്തെ ട്രയൽ എടുത്തിരുന്നു. സന്ദേശ് സാർ, നമസ്കാരം. ഗുഡ് ആഫ്റ്റർനൂൺ.
ഗുഡ് ആഫ്റ്റർനൂൺ ജയറാം.
കേൾക്കുന്നില്ല?
ഓ, കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ക്ലിയർ. അവിടെ പ്രസിഡന്റിനെ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ ആരാ ഉള്ളത് സന്ദേശ്?
webinar series. And yeah, once again, a warm good afternoon to all of you. Happy Diwali and happy Children's Day. I cordially invite all the scientists, veterans, teachers, UL Space Club organizers, students, guests, and all other participants to the 25th session of UL Space Club's webinar series. We, the UL Space Club, is a foundation under the umbrella of Uralungal Labor Cooperative Society, stands for enriching and flourishing the scientific aptitude of students, especially in space field. Within the 3 years from starting, we conducted many great offline events that's before COVID. And from the beginning of this pandemic era, we started this new venture called the webinar series, which is going extremely well for these past 6 months. Today is more special to us. As you know, this is a kind of silver jubilee for our webinar series since it is reached at that fancy number 25. So this is actually a celebration of UL Space Club on the occasion of 25th session of webinar series. Part of that, today is the day for the grand launch of our new website. And today is November 14th, right? Children's Day, birthday of our first Prime Minister, Sri Jawaharlal Nehru. So we included a special session on the topic Chacha Nehru and his role in development of science in India. These are the important events that going to be conducted today. So without any further delay, I exchange baton to Master Bharat Srijit to anchor the session. Welcome, Bharat.
Thank you so much, Sriram. I hope I'm visible and audible.
Yeah, you are.
Fine. Thank you so much, Sriram. Good afternoon and happy Children's Day and happy Diwali. Welcome to the 25th session of UL Space Club's webinar series. The past almost half a year has been a period of plenty of excitement for us here in UL Space Club. The experience, the exposure, and the time we've spent is in fact of great magnitude indeed. In fact, today, when we look back on how we've adapted during desperate times and how we've evolved over the past 24 weeks, we've had 24 great sessions from 24 eminent professionals. Today, we are fortunate to have a handful of eminent personalities here to interact with us. But this time, knowing that it is Children's Day, we have something special as well. Two young student prodigies will share their ideas on Chacha Nehru and his role in the development of science in India. Moreover, our chief guest, Professor M.K. Jairaj, Vice Chancellor of University of Calicut, will inaugurate the long-awaited website of UL Space Club. But before we begin our most awaited webinar session 25, let me repeat those few important instructions one last time. The most important thing is, of course, to keep your mics and your cameras switched off. Automatically, when you join, your mics will be muted, and we want it to stay muted unless the speaker or the organizers want you to do so. The second most important thing is to not present your screens, because if you do present your screens, the slides which are being presented by the speaker will be temporarily lost. So if you do present your screens, unfortunately, make sure that you click on stop presenting at that very instant. But there is always a possibility that someone might present their screens. So to make sure that you don't lose the screens of the presenter, make sure that you pin the screens of the presenter. What you have to do is to click on that pin kind of icon when the slides of the presenter come up. And if unfortunately you're not able to find the slides of the presenter, what you can do is to click on the people's option, where you can see the list of all the participants, browse and find the slides of the person and click on it, and you will be able to pin the slides. I think it is almost time, and let us officially commence webinar 25. UL Space Club, as you know, is a foundation under the umbrella of ULCCS. Hence, we need someone to connect the two, a bridge between the two. Dr. Sandesh EPH has beautifully handled this role as the coordinator of UL education. I happily invite Dr. Sandesh for the welcome speech.
Okay, thank you, Bharat.
Sandesh, VC has arrived.
ഒന്ന് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യണം സർ.
ഒന്ന് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്ത് തുടങ്ങിക്കോളൂ. ഒന്ന് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്ത് തുടങ്ങിയാൽ മതി.
Legit sir on the line connect here, sir.
ഷജിൽ മാഷ്. ഷജിൽ മാഷ്.
Yes, sir. I couldn't see him, sir.
ഒന്ന് കോണ്ടാക്ട് ചെയ്യാമോ?
Sir.
What about our president?
President he's not well. വന്നിട്ടില്ല ഇങ്ങോട്ട് തിരിച്ച്.
ഓഹോ. അപ്പൊ നമ്മള് പ്രസിഡന്റ് വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യേണ്ട കാര്യമില്ല.
ഇല്ലാന്ന് സാർ പറഞ്ഞു. എന്തെങ്കിലും വഴി ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ സാർ കാര്യമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു.
Then that will be changed to Kutti sir.
അല്ല, അത് നമുക്ക് ലിജേഷിനോട് കൊടുത്തൂടെ?
Okay.
ലിജേഷിനോട് പറയൂ അങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ.
സാർ പറയല്ലോ. അല്ല, എന്റെ അടുത്തുണ്ട്, ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞോ, ഞാൻ സംസാരിക്കാം. സാർ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തില്ല, കാണുന്നില്ല, ഞാൻ നോക്കി.
മാഷൊന്ന് വിളിക്കൂ പ്ലീസ്.
സാറിനെ വിളിക്കട്ടെ.
ഷജിൽ മാഷ് വിളിച്ചോളൂ. സന്ദേശ്, പ്രസിഡന്റിന്റെ കാര്യം ഒന്ന് വിളിച്ചു ചോദിക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ?
ഞാനിപ്പോ വിളിക്കുന്നുണ്ട് സർ. പക്ഷേ
ഒന്ന് അതേ ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ള വൈസ് എത്തി. Sir, most welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir, and most welcome. Okay, you can go ahead now.
ലിജീഷ് സാറും ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് അല്ലേ? കുട്ടി സാറെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം അല്ലേ?
അതെ, ലിജീഷ് സാറും വന്നു. Okay, we can start. Yes.
Oh, thank you, sir. Welcome all. ശിശുദിനത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഇത്തരം ഒരു കൂടിച്ചേരൽ സാധ്യമായതിന്റെ ആഹ്ലാദത്തോടു കൂടി ഞാൻ തുടങ്ങുന്നു. ശാസ്ത്രബോധമുള്ള ഒരു തലമുറയെ സൃഷ്ടിക്കുക എന്നത് രാഷ്ട്ര നിർമ്മാണത്തിന്റെ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു ഘടകമായി കണക്കാക്കിയിരുന്ന വ്യക്തിത്വമാണ്. ആ ദിശയിലുള്ള നിരവധി ഘടകങ്ങൾ, നിരവധി തുടക്കങ്ങൾ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെതായുണ്ട്. ബഹിരാകാശ ശാസ്ത്ര സാങ്കേതിക മേഖലയുടെ സ്ഥിതിയും വ്യത്യസ്തമല്ല. യുഎൽ സ്പേസ് ക്ലബ്ബ് ബഹിരാകാശ മേഖലയെ കുറിച്ച് സ്വപ്നം കാണുന്ന ആ മേഖലയിൽ മനുഷ്യരാശിക്ക് വേണ്ടി വലിയ കണ്ടുപിടുത്തങ്ങൾ നടത്താൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന കുട്ടികൾക്ക് വേണ്ടിയുള്ള ഒരു സംഘടനയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലെ നിരവധി ഹൈസ്കൂൾ, ഹയർ സെക്കൻഡറി സാധാരണക്കാരായ, ഏറ്റവും സാധാരണ ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ടിൽ നിന്ന് വരുന്ന നിരവധി കുട്ടികളെ വലിയ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളുമായും ഈ മേഖലയിലെ വലിയ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളുമായും ഈ മേഖലയിലെ പ്രശസ്തമായ വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങളുമായും കണക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതിൽ യുഎൽ സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിന് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. നമ്മളൊരു വളർച്ചയുടെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേക ഘട്ടത്തിൽ വിപുലമായ രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു സ്പേസ് ക്യാമ്പ് ഒക്കെ ആലോചിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് നമ്മൾ ഓരോ വ്യക്തികളെയും തുരുത്തുകളാക്കി മാറ്റിക്കൊണ്ട് കോവിഡ് എന്ന മഹാമാരി ആക്രമിച്ചത്. എന്നാൽ ഈ ഒരു മഹാമാരി വന്നു എന്നതുകൊണ്ട് മാത്രം കുട്ടികളുമായി നമ്മൾ ഒരുപാട് വർഷം കൊണ്ട് യുഎൽ സ്പേസ് ക്ലബ്ബ് സൃഷ്ടിച്ചെടുത്ത ഒരു ചരട് അഴിച്ചു മാറ്റാൻ ഞങ്ങൾ തയ്യാറല്ലായിരുന്നു. ആ ഒരു പശ്ചാത്തലത്തിലാണ് വി ഹാവ് സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് എ വെബിനാർ സീരീസ്. എല്ലാ ആഴ്ചയും കുട്ടികൾക്ക് വേണ്ടിയുള്ള ഒരു വെബിനാർ. ഈ വെബിനാറിൽ IIT, IIST, ISRO, പിന്നെ രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ പുറത്തും അകത്തുള്ള നിരവധി യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികൾ, ഇവിടെ നിന്നൊക്കെയുള്ള ഒരുപാട് ശാസ്ത്രജ്ഞരും അധ്യാപകരും സാങ്കേതിക വിദഗ്ധരും കുട്ടികളുമായി സംവദിക്കുന്ന ഓരോ എക്സ്പെർട്ടിനും കുട്ടികൾക്കും ഒരുപോലെ ആവേശകരമായി തീരുന്ന ഒരു അനുഭവമായി ഈ വെബിനാറുകൾ മാറുന്നതിന് ഞങ്ങൾ സാക്ഷ്യം വഹിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഏറ്റവും ആഹ്ലാദത്തോടെ പറയട്ടെ, ഇന്ന് വെബിനാറിന്റെ 25ാമത്തെ പതിപ്പ്, 25th എഡിഷൻ ഓഫ് വെബിനാർ ആണ് നമ്മൾ ആഹ്ലാദത്തോടെ ആഘോഷിക്കുന്നത്. ഇതേ അവസരത്തിൽ തന്നെ യുഎൽ സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിന്റെ വെബ്സൈറ്റും തയ്യാറായി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതും ഇന്ന് ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്യപ്പെടാൻ പോവുകയാണ്. ഇതിൽ ഇന്നത്തെ ഉദ്ഘാടകനായിട്ടും നമ്മളെ കുട്ടികളോട് സംസാരിക്കാനും എത്തിച്ചേർന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് കാലിക്കറ്റ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ വൈസ് ചാൻസലറും ഫിസിക്സ് ഗവേഷണ അധ്യാപന രംഗത്ത് നിരവധി ദശകങ്ങളുടെ അനുഭവ സമ്പത്തുള്ള ജയരാജ് സാറാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് VC എന്ന നിലയിലുള്ള നിരവധി തിരക്കുകളുണ്ട്. കോവിഡ് സൃഷ്ടിച്ച ക്വാറന്റൈൻ പ്രതിസന്ധികളുണ്ട്. എന്നാൽ ഇതൊക്കെ നിൽക്കെ തന്നെ ഇത്തരം ഒരു ആവശ്യമായി UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി കുട്ടികളോട് സംവദിക്കണമെന്ന് ആവശ്യപ്പെട്ടപ്പോൾ ഏറ്റവും സ്നേഹത്തോടും താല്പര്യത്തോടും കൂടിയാണ് അദ്ദേഹം ഇന്നത്തെ പരിപാടിയിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ സമ്മതിച്ചത്. ULCCSന് വേണ്ടിയും UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിന് വേണ്ടിയും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും വേണ്ടി സാറിനെ ഞാൻ സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം ഈ പരിപാടിയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു. ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ ULCCSന്റെ പ്രസിഡന്റ് രമേശൻ പാലേരി സാറ് സംബന്ധിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. മുഖ്യ അതിഥിയായി ഇതിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നത് ഡോക്ടർ കാലിക്കറ്റ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ സയൻസ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ഹെഡായ എൻ്റെ ഗൈഡുമായിട്ടുള്ള ലിജീഷ് സാറാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ULCCSന്റെയും UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിന്റെയും സംരംഭങ്ങളോടൊക്കെ ഒരുപാട് കാലമായിട്ട് സജീവമായിട്ട് സഹകരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന വ്യക്തിത്വമാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഇതിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിന്റെ ചീഫ് മെന്ററായും അതിന്റെ എല്ലാമായും പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നത് ISROയിലെ റിട്ടയർഡ് ഡയറക്ടറായിട്ടുള്ള കുട്ടി സാറാണ്. ഇന്ത്യയിലെ പ്രഗത്ഭരായ ബഹിരാകാശ മേഖലയിലെ ശാസ്ത്രജ്ഞരുടെയും നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലെ സാധാരണക്കാരായ കുട്ടികളുടെ ഇടയിലുള്ള ഒരു പാലമായിട്ട് ഒരുപാട് കാലമായിട്ട് അദ്ദേഹം പ്രവർത്തിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫ്രൂട്ട്, അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഗുണഫലങ്ങൾ നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിൽ ഒരുപാട് സാധാരണക്കാരായ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ലഭ്യമായി കഴിഞ്ഞു. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഈ പരിപാടിയിലേക്ക് ഹൃദയപൂർവ്വം സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ISROയുടെ റിട്ടയർഡ് ജോയിന്റ് ഡയറക്ടറായിട്ടുള്ള ജയറാം സാർ UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിലെ സജീവമായ നേതൃത്വപരമായ മെന്ററിംഗ് പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ നടത്തി വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അദ്ദേഹം നിങ്ങളോട് സംസാരിക്കും. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിനെ ഇങ്ങനെ വിശാലമായി പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ സാധ്യമാക്കിയ 2 ചിറകുകളാണ് കാലിക്കറ്റ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഫിസിക്സ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിലെ ഷഹീൻ സാറും NIT നാഷണൽ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ട് ഓഫ് ടെക്നോളജി കാലിക്കറ്റിലെ കെമിസ്ട്രി ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ഹെഡായിട്ടുള്ള ഡോക്ടർ സുജിത് സാർ. നമ്മുടെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ഹൈസ്കൂൾ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് പ്രൊജക്റ്റുകൾ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി ഈ 2 സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളിലെയും ഈ 2 ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റുകളെയും ലാബ് അവരുടെ എല്ലാ ഫെസിലിറ്റിയും യൂസ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് അതൊരു കേരളത്തിൽ തന്നെ അപൂർവമായ ഒരു സംരംഭമായിരിക്കും. നമ്മളോട് സംസാരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി 2 പേരും എത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. 2 പേരെയും ഞാൻ ഹൃദയത്തിന്റെ ഭാഷയിൽ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ബാലുശ്ശേരി ഗവൺമെന്റ് HSS അധ്യാപകനായ ഷജിൽ സാറാണ് UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബിന്റെ കോർഡിനേറ്റർ. അദ്ദേഹം ഈ പരിപാടിയിലുണ്ട്. വാഗ്ബടാനന്ദ ULCCSന്റെ മറ്റൊരു വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ സംരംഭമായ വാഗ്ബടാനന്ദ IT പ്രൊജക്ടിലെ ദാമോദരൻ സാറ് ഇതിന് നന്ദി പറയും. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ പരിപാടിയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബ്ബ് കുട്ടികൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഒരു വലിയ പരിധി വരെ കുട്ടികളാൽ നടത്തപ്പെടുന്ന സംഘടനയാണ്. ഇതിന്റെ ഓർഗനൈസേഴ്സും ഇതിന്റെ ഉള്ളടക്ക നിർമ്മാതാക്കളും ഒക്കെ കുട്ടികളാണ്. ഇന്ന് നെഹ്റുവിന്റെ ഓർമ്മ പുതുക്കുന്ന ഈ ദിവസമാണ്. ആ ഓർമ്മ പുതുക്കാനുള്ള നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടി അത് ചെയ്യുന്നത് കുട്ടികളാണ്. അവരെ ഞാൻ ഹൃദയത്തിന്റെ ഭാഷയിൽ ഈ പരിപാടിയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഇത് കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന കേരളത്തിന്റെ ഇന്ത്യയുടെ പല ഭാഗത്തു നിന്ന് കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ബഹിരാകാശ മേഖലയിൽ നാളത്തെ വലിയ പ്രതീക്ഷകളായി മാറാൻ പോകുന്ന വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ, അവരുടെ രക്ഷിതാക്കളെ, മറ്റ് ബഹിരാകാശ ശാസ്ത്രത്തിൽ തൽപരരായി ഇതിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന എല്ലാ ആളുകളെയും സ്നേഹത്തോടെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ നിർത്തട്ടെ.
Bharat.
Thank you so much, Sanjay sir. In fact, the history of UL Space Club dates back to when a former director of ISRO, a man who looks a little bit old but acts very much like a young man, started organizing exploratory classes for students in space technology. In fact, I've never known a person who does greater justice to his name than this particular man himself. Yes, it is Shri E.K. Kuti sir, our mentor and chief patron. I invite Shri E.K. Kuti sir for the mentor's words.
Thank you, Bharat. Today's day is of particular importance and significance to everyone. It is celebrated all over the country as Diwali and Children's Day. For us, it is a significant milestone of crossing 25th series, 25th session of our weekly webinar. And another important thing, milestone, is we are going to have a website which will be launched today. So I extend a hearty welcome to President of ULCCS, Rameshan Paleri, our chief guest, Vice Chancellor, Dr. M.K. Jairaj, our guest of honor, Dr. Lijesh, our prominent fellow travelers, Dr. Sujit, Dr. Shahin, Shajil Master, Damodaran Master, my dear students, friends, invitees, and gentlemen. This afternoon is of highly significant thing for all those who are gathered here, more particularly the students. They have been dreaming for this kind of a milestone, which they kick-started on 23rd May 2020 when the epidemic started showing its ugly head. Ever since 23rd May, we have had the webinar every Saturday without break, and today is the 25th session. As Dr. Sandesh said in the welcome talk, it is organized by students themselves. The very first webinar was by Dr. Murthy, a very globally well-known astrophysicist of Indian Institute of Astrophysics, Bangalore. In fact, he was contacted, invited, and brought to the webinar forum by our own student, Mr. Varu. I knew Murthy very well, but they never wanted, or we never wanted them to use our shoulder to fire. So the very first webinar started with that, and ever since then, the students have been taking it along in their own way. We are there on the sidelines to guide them, help them. So this 25th webinar is that way of a very, very significant thing for us. All this has started from 2016 when I got an inkling from students when I attended a class, when I gave a class to them on space technology. I got a feeling that the students here, who are mainly from government schools, are of no less mortals than the big school students of Bangalore or Calicut. I found in them lot of substance. Abhinandu was one such boy who is doing significantly well now. Noor Jalila was another girl in that class. They caught my attention, and then this activity slowly began. And as it started, it gained popularity, importance, and students started getting the best use of it. It all started as an enrichment of science knowledge. Inculcate the science temper by various means. Of course, that was the main objective. The second most important another objective was to enable the students to acquire life skills. In fact, 4 of the 24 webinars so far held has been managed, in spoken. The webinar is theirs by students only. They gave the webinar. It was highly appreciated by the not only students. There were several ISRO scientists and others who were present, like Shahin, like Sujit Dachra here, who are already here, they all appreciate the way they presented it. So this year, actually, what happened was we were to have a space camp, like what we used to do in university, NIT, etc., during February 8th and 9th. But unfortunately, the signals of the epidemic started coming. So Mr. Dattan, who was VSSC director and now is Chief Minister's advisor, he had already booked his tickets to come to Calicut for the program, and one PJ Bhatt, a scientist of ISRO in Bangalore, they both called me and said, see, look, Kutti, there looks to be some kind of a difficulty to do this kind of a thing, because 3 students have come from China, and then we get a news that things are not shaping up well or may not happen well. So we called off it. Then we didn't know what to do. Now, then only we began this. So that is the beginning of the whole thing. So we have a third objective, not only beyond the skill, we wanted to assist the students in their academic line, in their scholarly path, through some assistantship, scholarship, etc., which we are yet to begin. We will certainly do that. So the program, which kick-started on 23rd May, became slowly popular. Seamlessly it started happening. It became popularity. It has crossed the borders of Kerala, and we found the first prize in the webinar related quiz was bagged by a student in Karnataka, another by a student next time in Delhi, a third one again in Madras, Chennai. So this show, and subsequently we found lots and lots of students used to take part in that. So, and these are all enabled by veterans of ISRO, key scientists of ISRO, and of several other institutions. I must mention some names. All the names are difficult to mention. I must mention some names who enabled us to do all these things. So it is, Mr. Dattan, I just mentioned, Annadure, who is known as Moon Man of India, Dr. YVN Krishnamurthy, who is the registrar of IIST today, Rangarajan, and PJ Bhatt, Patmanabhan, we call him Papan. All those people enabled us to happen, and more than that, ULCCS gave entire their management help and financial help to make it happen. So this is the way we have moved, and we want to move further, and we seek the blessings of VC and all those who are present here to go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kudisa. Your words are invaluable. Over the course of these months, we've adapted and evolved considerably. And throughout, we've had this man with us who connected those pieces together and created a masterpiece. He is Dr. K. Jairam, former Deputy Director of the Indian Space Research Organization. I invite Dr. Jairam to tell you about the path we traversed. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Bharat. At the outset, a warm and respectful greetings to the chief guest of the day and other dignitaries participating in today's benchmark event of the 25th session celebrations for the ULCCS Space Club webinar series. Greetings are also due to all my student friends and other participants as well. I'm extremely happy to be associated with today's event and to carry out the pleasant task of giving you all a glimpse of the path we traversed so far as the webinar enterprise goes. We are all aware of the genesis of the Space Club under the aegis of the ULCCS, ably guided and mentored by our respected Kutti sir, E.K. Kutti sir, and also a committed group of individuals, yours truly included. So no need to elaborate on that. The Space Club was on its rigorous and vigorous pursuit of its avowed goals, when, like everyone, we were also stuck and laid low. and immobile by the COVID pandemic, briefly though. But our student members were not disenchanted or disenthused by this paralysis. They saw an opportunity to explore the ubiquitous social media platform to take the task forward. The webinar series was the outcome of such an out-of-the-box thinking by these young people. They volunteered, and we had no way other than to oblige them as elders. Of course, initial days of this webinar series was a bit of cultural shock, especially because from the open auditoriums with the face-to-face interface with the enthusiasts got restricted to our own drawing rooms or study rooms with the mobile laptop as the only interface. But of course, Google Meet provided us the common platform with Shajil Master, Damodar Master, and Sandesh, and other core team of our UL Space Club doing the groundwork. Teething troubles were overcome pretty fast, and the art of optimizing and regulating the participation mastered with ease. Today, we are very proud to say that we are very stable and well-managed group with a committed participatory base of students as also professionals transcending every domain of science, technology, engineering, management, and literature. I am proud to state that from a very sedate beginning, commencing on the 23rd May 2020, with space-based topics being discussed, we have progressed at an amazing pace with diverse topics being presented and discussed. We could rope in the best of brains, veterans in this domain, be it space technology, applications, quantum mechanics, astronomy, astrophysics, computers, communications, chemical sciences, you name anything. People were roped in and they volunteered to interact with the passionate students, sometimes non-students as well. One even logically progressed to the next, and the participating and the popularity of the event spread far and wide beyond the Space Club, beyond Kozhikode, and the borders of Kerala. The scope of the entire thing transcended much beyond and over to the cyberspace. Our student community interacted and exchanged and shared their concepts and questions, and experts were generous in their response. Another important aspect in the transformation of our student members during this webinar series is worth mentioning, both the organizers as well as the participants. The organizers transformed as professionals, apt at handling the media technology on the fly, be it poster making, video hosting, and streaming live on the YouTube, hosting of webinars with Panake, you name any task, the organizing student members emerge masters at all the tasks. That gives us immense satisfaction. 2 sessions were added at the end of each seminar to keep student participant interest alive with the questions taken out of the webinar of the day. Generous prizes were also on offer, sponsored by Cinderbear and other well-wishers. It has emerged as a total package now, well received and eagerly anticipated every Saturday 3 p.m. At this juncture, it is time to take stock, reminiscence, and look forward to what we need to do to keep the journey alive and interesting. As is the wont, our team has come up with an interesting and captivating video of the path we traversed so far, and it will be on show now for the benefit of every one of you to see and assimilate. The video promo by our team. We seek your blessings and guidance in our journey ahead. Thank you, one and all.
UL Space Club,
a foundation under ULCCS Limited has strived day in, day out towards the enrichment of scientific aptitude among students. However, the unprecedented outbreak of the pandemic caught us by surprise like everybody else. Hence, the necessity of moving forward by keeping ourselves distanced is what spawned the UL Space Club webinar series. Since commencing on the 23rd of May 2020, we've come a long way. Along this path of evolution, we saw ourselves transition into a national webinar series in English, along with the introduction of the UL Space Quiz every week. "24 weeks, 24 sessions from 24 professionals on 24 different aspects of science." We partnered with the Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology, Thiruvananthapuram, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Trust, Cochin, and Balabhumi in organizing special events on World Space Week, the Day of Remembrance of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, World Moon Day, and many more. With all tricks up our sleeves, this Children's Day, we celebrate the 25th session of UL Space Club webinar series. But that's not all. Dr. M.K. Jayaraj, Vice Chancellor, University of Calicut, inaugurates UL Space Club's new website.
Thank you so much, Jairam sir. I'm absolutely sure that you've given a great understanding of how we've evolved into what we are today. In fact, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all those people who worked in the background in creating that particular promo video, especially our technical expert, Mr. Shri Adil Krishna. He's also a person who is not very much acknowledged in all these activities that we bring forward. So thank you so much, everybody who's worked in the background. Next, of course, this session for today is decided by Dr. Lajish VN, Assistant Professor of the Computer Science, Department of Computer Science and Director of Computer Center in the University of Calicut. Being a computer science student myself, his words is something that I personally very much look forward to. I wholeheartedly invite Dr. Lajish for the presidential address.
Thank you very much for the invite. Actually, I'm replacing the Honorable Chairman of ULCCS, Sri Rameshan Paleri sir. I think he could not attend this at this point of time. I was not prepared for such a presidential address of this event, but still I take this opportunity. So indeed, I'm very delighted and honored to associated with this auspicious event organized by UL Space Club. That is the 25th edition of the webinar series and the website inauguration. So indeed, it is a great privilege for me to share the dais with the Honorable Vice Chancellor of University of Calicut, Professor M.K. Jairaj sir, who is his visionary leadership definitely will guide the entire higher education system in the state. So he is giving such a great freedom to the academicians and the administrators and the students of this university to lead this great seat of learning in the Malabar. So I'm happy with that. And most respected Sri E.K. Kutty sir is a former director of ISRO and the mentor of UL Space Club. And my colleague, Dr. Shahin from the Department of Physics, University of Calicut. And of course, my research student who has successfully completed his doctoral degree from the Department of Computer Science under my supervision, Dr. Sandesh, and dignitaries on the dais. So I don't want to take much of your time because we are keen on listening to the Vice Chancellor's speech and the student, they are prepared for celebrating the Children's Day as well as this occasion. And before moving to the next speech, let me pointed out 2-3 things I was prepared to talk to you at this point of time. So especially this incidentally, coincidentally, this came along with the Children's Day today. So all the Saturdays they have selected for delivering this type of webinar series. So, and the Diwali occasion also coming into picture here. So Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru once addressing the children, he was very keen on especially addressing the children all the time, as you know. So he was mentioning just like children are like buds in a garden and should be carefully and lovingly nurtured as they are the future of the nation and the citizens of tomorrow. So we cannot imagine a garden without flowers. അതുപോലെയാണ് ഒരു കുട്ടികളെ നമ്മൾ കെയർ ചെയ്യാത്ത ഒരു ലോകത്തിനെ പറ്റി നമുക്ക് ഇമേജിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് ഇവിടെ പറയുന്നത്, കൃത്യമായിട്ട് സൂചിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. നേരത്തെ ഇതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ഒരു ഇൻസിഡന്റ് സൂചിപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ വേഗം അവസാനിപ്പിക്കാം. നേരത്തെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ഞാൻ അവിടെ കാലിക്കറ്റിൽ PhD ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഇതുപോലുള്ള ഒരു ഇവന്റ് അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന്റെ ഒരു ഇവന്റ് അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി നമ്മുടെ പഴയ പ്രസിഡന്റും നമ്മുടെ ഭാരതം കണ്ട ഉന്നതനായ ഒരു ശാസ്ത്രജ്ഞനുമായ APJ അബ്ദുൽ കലാം സാറിനെ ഇൻവൈറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ശ്രമിക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. അന്ന് നമ്മുടെ വൈസ് ചാൻസലർ KKN കുറുപ്പ് സാറായിരുന്നു നമ്മുടെ വൈസ് ചാൻസലർ. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ സമീപിച്ചു. കാരണം ഇത്രയും അന്ന് അദ്ദേഹം അണ്ണാ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിലെ ഒരു പ്രൊഫസർ പോസ്റ്റിലാണ് ഇരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ സമയത്ത് KKN കുറുപ്പ് സാറ് നമ്മുടെ മുന്നിൽ വെച്ച് അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഇൻവൈറ്റ് ചെയ്യാണ്. ഇങ്ങനെ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന്റെ ഒരു ഇവന്റ് കാലിക്കറ്റ് ക്യാമ്പസിൽ നടക്കുകയാണ്, സാറ് പങ്കെടുക്കണം. അപ്പൊ അന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു ഏത് ലെവലിലുള്ള സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനെയാണ് ഞാൻ അഡ്രസ്സ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ കാര്യമായിട്ടും ഒരു ഉന്നത വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ സ്ഥാപനം എന്ന നിലയിൽ so we told the vice chancellor was speaking to him directly, just like we have graduate and postgraduate and research students in the campus. അപ്പൊ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് പറഞ്ഞു തരുന്നത്, എനിക്ക് ഈ വർഷം എനിക്ക് സംസാരിക്കാൻ ഞാൻ ടാർഗറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത് സ്കൂൾ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനോടാണ്, ദയവ് ചെയ്ത് എന്നെ ഇതിൽ നിന്നും ഒഴിവാക്കണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അന്ന് നമ്മൾ അപ്സെറ്റായി. പെട്ടെന്ന് തന്നെ ഒരു അബ്ദുൽ കലാം സാർ പറയുകയാണ്, ഈ വർഷം എനിക്ക് കുട്ടികളോട് സംസാരിക്കാനാണ് എൻ്റെ ടാർഗറ്റ്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് ഈ പ്രാവശ്യം യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികളിലേക്ക് വരാൻ എനിക്ക് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അപ്പോഴൊക്കെയാണ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നത് കുട്ടികളോട് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് അവരെ അഡ്വൈസ് ചെയ്ത് അവർക്ക് വേണ്ട പഠന സാഹചര്യങ്ങൾ ഒരുക്കി കൊടുത്ത് അവരെ നർച്ചർ ചെയ്യേണ്ട ഒരു സാമൂഹ്യ പ്രതിബദ്ധതയെക്കുറിച്ച് ആ വാക്കുകൾ സൂചിപ്പിച്ചത്. അത് വളരെ തിരിച്ചറിവുണ്ടാക്കിയ ഒരു കാര്യമാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഇടയിൽ. ആ ഒരു കാര്യത്തിൽ നിന്ന് വരുന്നു ബാക്കി നമ്മളെ പോലെയുള്ള എല്ലാ ഉന്നത വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവരും കുട്ടികളോട് സംസാരിക്കാൻ ഒരു താല്പര്യം കാണിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സമീപനം ഈ അടുത്ത കാലത്ത് നമുക്കൊക്കെ കാണാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതൊരു വലിയ ഒരു മുതൽക്കൂട്ടായി നമ്മുടെ ഭാവി തലമുറയ്ക്ക് ഉപകാരപ്പെടും എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ചുവടുപിടിച്ച് തന്നെയാണ് UL സ്പേസ് ക്ലബ്ബും ഇത്തരത്തിൽ 8ാം ക്ലാസ് മുതലുള്ള കുട്ടികളെ, ഹയർ സെക്കൻഡറി വരെയുള്ള കുട്ടികളെ ഈ തരത്തിൽ ട്രെയിനിങ് ചെയ്ത് അവർക്ക് വേണ്ട അവരുടെ അഭിരുചിക്കനുസരിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ശാസ്ത്ര അഭിരുചി വളർത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് മുന്നേറി പോകുന്നത്. ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ കൂടുതലായി എനിക്ക് സംസാരിക്കാൻ ഒന്നുമില്ല. കുട്ടി സാറ് എന്നോട് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട് നിങ്ങളോട് കമ്പ്യൂട്ടിംഗ് ആസ്പെക്ട്സിനെ പറ്റി കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഒരു സെഷൻ തന്നെ ഞാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഒരു ദിവസം സ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ തീരുമാനിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആ സമയത്ത് കൂടുതൽ സംവദിക്കാം എന്നാണ്. ഒരു കാര്യം മാത്രം സൂചിപ്പിക്കാം, നമ്മുടെ ഒരു സയന്റിഫിക് ഡിസ്കവറി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇന്നോവേഷൻ, ക്രിയേറ്റിവിറ്റി ഒക്കെ ഒരു ഇന്റർ ഡിസിപ്ലിനറി നേച്ചറിലേക്ക് വളരെ അതിവേഗം മാറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇരിക്കുന്നത്. തീർച്ചയായും സോ വി കനോട്ട് സ്റ്റേ ആസ് എറ്റ് വാട്ടർ ടൈപ്പ് കമ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ജസ്റ്റ് ലൈക്ക് ഫിസിക്സ് ഓർ കെമിസ്ട്രി, മാത്തമാറ്റിക്സ് എക്സെട്ര. നിങ്ങൾ കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു ഡാറ്റ സയൻസ് എന്ന രീതിയിൽ ഒരു ഡാറ്റ തന്നെ ഒരു സയൻസായി മാറുന്ന ഒരു കാലത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ജീവിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഡാറ്റ ഇൻറ്റൻസീവ് സയന്റിഫിക് ഡിസ്കവറി. സോ ദറ്റ് ഈസ് എ ഫോർത്ത് പാരഡൈം. ഐ വിൽ ടോക്ക് ടു യു ഇൻ ഡീറ്റെയിൽ while we interact in that time. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോൾ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടേഷൻ ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട്, സോ യു ഹാവ് ആസ്ട്രോളജിക്കൽ ഡാറ്റ ആണെങ്കിലും ആസ്ട്രോണമിക്കൽ ഡാറ്റ ആണെങ്കിലും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ബയോളജിക്കൽ ഡാറ്റ ആണെങ്കിലും ജീനോമിക്സ്, പ്രോട്ടിയോമിക്സ് എക്സെട്ര, ഇതിൽ പോകുമ്പോഴൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് ഹ്യൂജ് വോള്യൂം ഓഫ് ഡാറ്റ നമുക്ക് എന്തുണ്ട് പ്രോസസ്സ് ചെയ്യാനുണ്ട്. അതിനൊരു കമ്പ്യൂട്ടേഷണൽ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം, ഹൈ പെർഫോമൻസ് കമ്പ്യൂട്ടിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള മെഷീൻ ലേണിംഗ്, ഡാറ്റ സയൻസ് ഒക്കെ വരുന്ന ഒരു മേഖലയെ നിങ്ങൾ കൂടുതൽ പരിചയപ്പെടേണ്ട അത്യാവശ്യ കാര്യം മാത്രം ഞാനിവിടെ സൂചിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് ഈ എറ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ നൂറ്റാണ്ട് നിങ്ങളുടെ ബയോളജിക്കൽ സയൻസിന്റെ കൂടെ ഒരു നൂറ്റാണ്ടാണ്. കാരണം നമുക്കറിയാം എപ്പിഡമിക്സും അതിനെ നമ്മൾ തടുത്തു നിർത്തുന്ന ഒരു ലോകം മുഴുവൻ അതിനെ കീഴിലാവുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് എത്ര ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ് ബയോളജിക്കൽ സയൻസ്. നമ്മുടെ ഡ്രഗ് ഡിസ്കവറിയിലും വാക്സിനേഷൻ ഡിസ്കവറിയിലും ഒക്കെ പോകുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടേഷണൽ ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് കൂടി അതിന് വളരെ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യമാണ്. അതിലും കൂടി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ട്രെയിനിങ് ആവശ്യമായി വരുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യം ഉണ്ട്. അതായത് നമുക്കറിയാം വാക്സിനേഷൻ നമ്മൾ ഇങ്ങനെ പ്രതീക്ഷിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. എല്ലാ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള കണ്ടുപിടുത്തങ്ങൾ നടക്കുന്നത് വെറ്റ് ലാബ് റിസർച്ചിലല്ല ഇപ്പോൾ നടക്കുന്നത്. നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം വൈറോളജി ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റും IGIB ഒക്കെ നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ ഡ്രഗ് ഡിസ്കവറി, റീപർപ്പസിങ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വാക്സിനേഷൻ ഡിസ്കവറി ഒക്കെ നടക്കുന്നത് ഒരു കമ്പ്യൂട്ടിംഗ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിലാണ്, അതിന്റെ സിമുലേഷനാണ്. അതിനെ ചുവടുപിടിച്ചാണ് നേരത്തെ പറയുന്നത് ഗ്രാൻഡ് തിയറീസ് നിന്ന് മാറി നമ്മൾ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ സിമുലേഷനിലും അതിന് ഡാറ്റ ഇൻറ്റൻസീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു മേഖലകളിലേക്ക് എത്തിക്കഴിഞ്ഞു സയന്റിഫിക് ഡിസ്കവറി എന്ന് മാത്രം സൂചിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കാണാൻ കഴിയുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു പക്ഷേ നിങ്ങളുടെ പഠിത്തം കഴിഞ്ഞ് ജോലി സാധ്യതയിലേക്ക് പോകുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഇന്ന് കാണുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു വർക്ക് സ്പേസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ പഠിച്ച് പുറത്തിറങ്ങുമ്പോഴേക്കും കാണാൻ കഴിയില്ല എന്നുള്ള യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തിലേക്കാണ് നമ്മൾ പോകുന്നത്. അത് 4th ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയൽ റെവല്യൂഷൻ നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നു, എന്ന് നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും വിളിക്കുന്നു. ദിസ് ഇസ് എ സ്പേസ് ഫോർ എന്താണ് സൈബർ ഫിസിക്കൽ സിസ്റ്റം, ഇന്റർനെറ്റ് ഓഫ് തിങ്സ് എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യത്തിലേക്കാണ് നമ്മൾ പോകുന്നത്. ആ സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഇന്ന് കാണുന്ന വർക്ക് സ്പേസിലൊന്നും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ രീതിയിൽ കാണാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അവിടെ ഒരു പോയിന്റ് മാത്രം സൂചിപ്പിച്ച് നിർത്താം. ഡിസൈൻ തിങ്കിങ് എന്നുള്ള ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് ഒരു അനുഭവം ഞാൻ പറയാം. അതായത് എൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫ്രണ്ട് വളരെ ക്ലോസ്ലി വർക്കിംഗ് വിത്ത് റിസർച്ചിൽ നമ്മുടെ അസോസിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന റോബർട്ട് ബോഷ് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു കമ്പനി, ഹെൽത്ത് കെയർ കമ്പനിയാണത്. അവിടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു സീനിയർ സയന്റിസ്റ്റ് ആയിരുന്നു. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് കമ്പനി പറഞ്ഞത്, സോ യു ഗോ ടു ജർമ്മനി ഫോർ നെക്സ്റ്റ് 2 months ഓഫ് ടൈം. ജർമ്മനിയിൽ പോവുക. എന്താണ് അസൈൻമെന്റ് കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്? അവിടെ എത്തി യു ടോക്ക് ടു പീപ്പിൾ. ഹൈലി പെയ്ഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള വളരെ സീനിയർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സയന്റിസ്റ്റ് ആണ് അദ്ദേഹം, റോബർട്ട് ബോഷ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിനോട് ജർമ്മനിയിൽ പോയിട്ട് യു ടോക്ക് ടു പീപ്പിൾ ഫോർ അനദർ കപ്പിൾ ഓഫ് മന്ത്സ്. അതാണ് എന്താണ് ഹി ഗോ ടു ദ പാർക്ക്, ലൈബ്രറീസ് ഓർ റെയിൽവേ സ്റ്റേഷൻ, വേർ എവർ യു ഫൈൻഡ് എ പീപ്പിൾ ടു ടോക്ക് വിത്ത് യു ടോക്ക് ടു പീപ്പിൾ. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോൾ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനോട് ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു എന്താണ് ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു ആസ്പെക്ട്സ്. അവർ ഹെൽത്ത് കെയറിൽ, ഒരു മെന്റൽ ഹെൽത്ത് കെയറിലുള്ള ഒരു കമ്പ്യൂട്ടേഷണൽ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു തയ്യാറെടുപ്പിലാണ് റോബർട്ട് ബോഷ്. അപ്പൊ അതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് ആണ്. ജർമ്മൻസ് സാധാരണഗതിയിൽ അവരുടെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളൊന്നും തുറന്നു പറയാൻ സമ്മതിക്കാത്ത ആൾക്കാരാണ്. സോ യു ടോക്ക് ടു പീപ്പിൾ ആൻഡ് ഇൻ ഡെപ്ത് ആൻഡ് ഫൈൻഡ് ഔട്ട് ദ ഇഷ്യൂസ് റിലേറ്റഡ് ടു ദം. അവർ മടങ്ങി വരുന്നത് ഒരു പൂൾ ഓഫ് എക്സ്പേർട്സിന്റെ അടുത്താണ്. അവിടെ ഫിലോസഫേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്, മാത്തമാറ്റീഷ്യൻസ് ഉണ്ട്, കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ സയന്റിസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട്, ലാംഗ്വേജ് പീപ്പിൾ ഉണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പിലാണ് അദ്ദേഹം തിരിച്ചു വന്നിട്ട് ഈ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ എന്നിട്ടാണ് അതിലൂടെയാണ് ആ ചർച്ചയിലൂടെയാണ് അവർ പ്രൊജക്റ്റ് എൻവിഷൻ ചെയ്ത് ഒരു പ്രൊഡക്റ്റിലേക്ക് മാറുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു കോൺസെപ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഡിസൈൻ തിങ്കിങ് കോൺസെപ്റ്റാണ്. നിങ്ങൾ കമ്പനിയിൽ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ കമ്പനി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വർക്ക് തരുന്നില്ല. ചില കമ്പനികളെങ്കിലും യു ടോക്ക് ടു പീപ്പിൾ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങളത് ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യൂ. ദെൻ യു കം അപ്പ് വിത്ത് എ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ്, ഇന്നോവേറ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഐഡിയ ആയിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ വരൂ. ആ ഐഡിയ കമ്പനി പരിശോധിച്ചിട്ട് ഇഫ് ദേ ആർ അട്രാക്റ്റഡ് ടു ദാറ്റ്, ദേ വിൽ ഫണ്ട് ഫോർ ഇറ്റ് ആൻഡ് യു വർക്ക് ഫോർ ദാറ്റ് പ്രൊജക്ട് ഫോർ അനദർ പീരീഡ് ഓഫ് 3 years or 2 years. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു സാഹചര്യങ്ങളിലൊക്കെയാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഇനി അടുത്ത വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത്. സോ ദർ വിൽ ബി എ ഡ്രാസ്റ്റിക് ചേഞ്ച് ഇൻ ടെക്നോളജി ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് ആൻഡ് യുവർ ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ ഓൾസോ ഇവോൾവിംഗ് ടു എ ഡിഫറെന്റ് ഡയമെൻഷൻ, as I said in the case of data science. So I wish you all a great day today and all the days to come. So definitely we will interact in other time also. So I sincerely thank Kutti sir and the entire team of US Space Club for inviting me this event, and thank you one and all.
Thank you so much, Sarisha. Sir, we are absolutely looking forward to your session as well. Our chief guest for the day is a leader of one of the most renowned educational institutions in all over India, a person of great vigor and skill. I invite Professor M.K. Jayaraj, Vice Chancellor of the University of Calicut, to inaugurate this session and the long-awaited website of UL Space Club. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think we will go first for the launch of the website.
Yes.
I am very happy to inaugurate the UL Space Club. It's a website. With all your permission, I declare the website inaugurated. After the inauguration, I will go to the speech.
Website is visible, Bharat? Shajil Marsh?
Yes, sir, absolutely, sir. If anybody is unable to view the website, I think you can select the people option where you can see the list of all.
Okay. Just come.
Yeah, it's coming.
Just come.
Shajil sir is presenting. You can click on Shajil UK presentation.
It has come. I think we can proceed further, Bharat.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
President of the function, Mr. Rameshan Paleri, Dr. Lajish, Director of Department of Computer Science, Dr. Sandesh, Coordinator of the ULC Education, the mentor and students' favorite, Dr. E.K. Kutty, former director, ISRO, Dr. K. Jairam, Deputy Director, ISRO, Dr. Sujit, Head of the Department, NIT, Dr. Mohammad Shaheen, Mr. Sajil Master, Mr. Damodaran Master, the young presenters, Mr. Varun MK, Master Adidev, and Master Harish, and Mr. Bharat Srijat, other participants, dear friends. I'm very extremely happy and honored to be part of this 25th edition of webinar series organized by the UL Space Club. As all of you know, the humanity is going through a very difficult situation. Today, as this pandemic spreads, we are in the midst of an unprecedented challenge. Indeed, hope is what mankind has relied upon in times of crisis. This too shall pass. And we are young budding scientists. We have great hope in you. Under this pandemic situation, we have raised to this occasion, organizing various webinar series and actively involving in the spread of science in the society. What is science? Science is the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. പ്രപഞ്ചത്തെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള അറിവ് സ്വരൂപിക്കുകയും പരീക്ഷിച്ച് നോക്കാവുന്ന വിശദീകരണങ്ങളായും പ്രവചനങ്ങളായും ക്രമീകരിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു പ്രസ്ഥാനമാണ് ശാസ്ത്രം. ഇന്നത്തെ ദിവസത്തിന് പല പ്രത്യേകതകളുണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ മുമ്പ് സൂചിപ്പിച്ച പോലെ ടുഡേ ഇസ് ദ ദീപാവലി, വിച്ച് ഈസ് ദ symbol of bringing light to our life, bringing people from darkness to light. Also, today is the Children's Day. As all of you know, the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru introduced the word scientific temper. Science and scientific temper is totally different thing. If you recall, there was an association which is called Association of Scientific Workers of India. And interestingly, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the first president of this association. This association was initiated by people like Dr. Satish Dhawan and Pushpa Bhargava. And there was one condition to become a member of this association. They have to give an undertaking. That undertaking goes like that: I believe that knowledge can be acquired only through human endeavor and not through revelation, and that all problems can be and must be faced in terms of man's moral and intellectual resources without invoking supernatural powers. This was the undertaking for getting an admission to this association. And it was known that, interestingly, very, very few people agreed to this statement, which means that people always try to believe in supernatural powers. And this statement, if you want to get admission to this association, it states that there is nothing with the supernatural power. All problems can be and must be faced in terms of man's moral and intellectual resources. And later, after this incident, the first human resource minister, the education minister, this was introduced as a in the Constitution as the Article 51A, the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution, which says that to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. This is one of the fundamental duty of every citizen. So this science and scientific temper is both a different thing. Even you can see that a very big famous scientists, they didn't have the spirit of scientific temper. I can highlight many examples. One of the example is William Bradford Shockley, the same man who invented the transistor. William Bradford Shockley, he believed that Negroes, the black people, are intellectually inferior. He stated that American Negroes are intellectual and social deficits is hereditary and racially genetic in origin, and thus not remindable to a major degree by practical improvements in the environment. He believed that they cannot be improved by changing the social environment. In India also, we can see that there are many scientists, they didn't agree that women are equal. You can see that Kamala Shoni was the first Indian woman to get a PhD in science discipline. She was initially denied admission by C.V. Raman to the admission to IASC, and she has to go for try to get an admission. Even then, he made some conditions for this admission. I was just to mention that to the new students that science doesn't mean that all the scientists have the scientific temper. You need to inculcate the nature of scientific temper. And what is scientific temper? Scientific temper is something which you have to observe the nature. You have to ask questions, and after asking question, you have to do it analysis, and you derive some conclusion. After that, you have to disseminate this acquired knowledge. So there is always you have to keep observing and keep asking questions why. This is very important for the youngsters. Always ask the question why. You can see that the book which is wrote by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Letters from Father to His Daughter, which is a collection of letters written by Jawaharlal Nehru to his daughter Indira Priyadarshini, originally when Indira was 10 years old. The letters were education pieces in all subjects, natural and human history. And you can see that one of the stories narrated in today's Malayalam Daily, Madhubhumi, he was asking to Indira why the stones, some of the stones are very smooth and round. Why usually stones appear with the corners and edges. Why it is so? So he is provoking Indira to ask questions and to think about it. You can see that the smooth surface of the stone has to tell so many stories, where it originated, how it came into the river, and how it rolled down, and how it get the smoother surface, and so on. Same type of questions you have to ask in everyday life. For example, Feynman also says that answering the question why is very difficult, and he speak on one of the typical example, why we slip on ice. This is a very some people say just slip. If you are ready to accept that answer, then it's okay. But why it is happening, why there is a slipper on the ice but not slipping on other surfaces? So then it came when you apply the pressure, the ice melts. And ice melts, then there is a thin layer of water in between your boot and and the ice surface. This makes the surface slippery. Then you can ask the question, why the ice only melt when you apply pressure? This is another thing you have to ask yourself. You know that only ice expands when the liquid form, when it is solidified into ice, it expands. Not many of the other solids doesn't do like that. When you liquefy some liquid, usually you'll get a more dense solid. But here you get a solid which is lighter, the density reduces. This is because of its crystalline structure. And you can see that there are some hydrogen bonds. When it is in liquid form, there is the average number of bonds is hydrogen bonds is 3.4, and there is always changing a hydrogen bond. But when it forms a crystalline solid, these bonds are more stronger, and each molecule is separated by some distance, which make the ice expand. So when you apply the pressure, there is a more, the water molecule is brought more closer and it melts. So in that way, you can keep on asking questions to get the answer. And coming to the UL Space Club, it is always interesting that you can see that whenever a child, you will be always fascinated by two things. One is the light, another is looking up the sky. You always fascinate what is there in the sky and how it is held together. So always it is very easy to students to turn up to scientific questions, observing light and the space. You can also see that the first Newton's experiment using the light, he dispersed the light into VIBGYOR. As you can see that when the white light enters into a prism, there is a phenomena called refraction, and the light bends. The shorter wavelength is refracted more than the longer wavelength. So there is a dispersion of light using the prism. So this was invented by Newton. And later you can see that even after 100 years, Fraunhofer did another experiment. And he showed that if you look at the solar spectra, there are certain lines which are absent, which means that there are certain wavelength is missing in the solar spectra. So this was a big question. Why there is certain lines absent in the solar spectra? So this initially it was not explained. So he just notified the lines like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. There is something like 7 or 8 lines in the initial observation, and he denoted these lines by the alphabet. So you might have seen that the sodium line has 2 lines which we call as D1 and D2 lines. This is because later Kirchhoff found that when the light passes through certain flames, there is certain absorption taking place. And it was later correlated that when the sunlight is passing through the atmosphere, there are certain elements, and these elements is absorbing. So this was understood after Kirchhoff, who did a series of experiments, passing a white light through flames or certain vapors of elements. He observed that there are certain absorption taking place. And he introduced the law that each element has its own characteristics like absorption. So what I want to stress the point is, even the beginning of the light investigation on light led to the investigation on the elements which is present in the atmosphere. Even today we use different telescope in different region, radio telescopes, X-ray telescope, and so on, to identify the elements present in the different planets and to understand what is happening in the universe. So always humanity always has thought about where we exist and what is the purpose of exist, what is where is the origin of the universe, and so on. And I understand that the UL Space Club, which is the run and run by the students itself can address some of these problems to understand deeper into the about the universe, and in turn it will create interest in the basic science, and it will have a inculcate the scientific temper. As Dr. Lijish was talking about, nowadays all the disciplines are merging together. Even if you look at the ISRO, which is a mission-oriented program, their program, even though it is a mission-oriented, there you can see that a huge number of multidisciplinary scientists working towards a particular goal. But you can see that you need help from all the disciplines to achieve this particular goal. I believe that the UL Space Club will be promoting the students into the area of basic science and to contribute to the nation building. I wish all the best to the students. Also declare this UL Space Club website open, and all the best for the 25th webinar series. And I am eagerly waiting to hear the students' presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. We are extremely happy to hear those words from you. In fact, the activities of UL Space Club escalated when we had the opportunity to associate with NIT Calicut. The man behind it was none other than Dr. A. Sujit, Head of Department of Chemistry, NIT Calicut. I invite Dr. Sujit for his words.
Okay, am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Jairaj sir, Kutti sir, Shajil sir, and representatives from ULCCS, and my dear students, very happy to join with you, to celebrate with you the 25th session of the particular webinar series. I'm still remembering our good old days we spent in NIT Calicut for a 2 days camp. I thought that days will not come, but you see through the webinar series, you made it possible. That means 25 seminars passed, and you see, I'm very happy to see that the students, their performance, their interaction is improving day by day in these webinar. And you can see that our Abhinand, Mr. Abhinand and Bharat and Varun gave a seminar to Department of Chemistry and NIT Calicut also. So these are very proud moments. So these students, many students may be there to show their abilities. Many students are coming through this, showing their talents in this seminar, in this type of webinar. So very happy, because I'm not taking much time, because there are a lot of sessions are coming. And one more thing I like to add, that 25 sessions means 25 experts interacted, but you can also see that there are a lot of panelist experts were also participated in this seminar. So students are very lucky, and always, as Jairaj sir told, always this science education is a very difficult process, just like smoothening the sharp edge of the stone. That is very important. There is no shortcuts for attaining these things. I wish all the best for your future webinar sessions and the programs. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sujil sir. The Department of Physics of University of Calicut have been instrumental in all our activities from the very beginning. And Dr. Mohammad Shaheen, Assistant Professor of the Department of Physics, University of Calicut, has hence been a familiar face to all of us. I invite Dr. Shaheen for his words.
Respected Vice Chancellor Jairaj sir, Kutti sir, then Sujit sir, my dear friend from computer science, Lajesh sir, and Bud sir, Padmanabhan sir, and my dear students of ULCCS. I'm very happy that the 25th seminar have been over, and I just say our Vice Chancellor that we contributed by giving our Google account to ULCCS so that this program was could accommodate more than 100 students or whatever number they came. And I am happy further that we could associate by conducting 3 residential camps in the university campus, where we were fascinated by the presentations by most of the students attended, and they were also very happy to come to our campus, and wonderful questions and curious observation. This led us that this students' camps should go on, and we could also interact with eminent scientists of ISRO. We could bring them to the campus. And I know that we are running out of time, and I'll say that during my students' time, during my school time, I was very fascinated by seeing the oil films formed on the road and different wonderful colors, changing colors. And when I learned during my undergraduate course that it is nothing but the refraction phenomena coming from the oil films, it was really a wonderful moment for me at that time. And even during my undergraduate time, the charging of a capacitor, it was 1 minus exponential behavior. It could not be shown by experiments at that time. But now, even with, you have seen one of the talk by our IUAC scientist, he developed an instrument. Even with a 7th standard student can do these experiments at his home. And when I was studying, the Fourier series was wonderful for me, because that much infinite series, how Fourier could imagine during that some 400 to 500 years back, the square wave could be generated by summing a series of sines and cosine terms. But now, you know, a 10th standard student can do those things by writing small Python program. So that is the revolution right now you all have gained. So now your observations can be enlightened by computer experiments, and all your ideas can be made to the reality by smaller computer codes, as well as microcontrollers, microprocessors, etc. So this is what I wanted to convey, that finally, whatever our Vice Chancellor has said, whatever you are learning, you try to make the habit of scientific temper in your pedagogy, so that the real science should inculcate through your learning. With these words, I am thankful to the UL Space Club team and Kuti sir and Shadil sir and other team members, Sandesh, for inviting me to the program. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaheen sir. There's one more person who has worked day in, day out for the successful execution of all our activities. Sri Shajil UK has led from the front in is one of the most satisfied people here with us today in completing our 24 webinars. Shajil sir is not just the coordinator of UL Space Club, but is also a high school teacher at Government Girls Higher Secondary School, Balusheri by profession. I invite Shajil sir for his words.
Thank you, Bharat. Honorable Vice Chancellor of University of Calicut, Dr. M.K. Jaraj sir, E.K. Kuti sir. Then, am I audible, Bharat?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Then, And actually, in this pandemic, we started this webinar series as an alternative for our usual space camp. In the space camp, this space camp was actually a living place for these science aspirants. First, we started 4 years back this UL Space Club. The intention was to guide them to the world of science. Later, we realized that to reach the world of space, we have to know the fundamentals of science. As the Honorable Vice Chancellor noted that we should know what's science and what's the purpose of science, how do we use science, and we have to use the nature of science also. That's why now we indulge with the activities of all science, and we try to break all the barriers of branches or compartments of science, and we want to see science as a whole. That's why we mix this webinar with biology, chemistry, physics, and environment and mathematics. Whatever things we bring, we are putting it under a single umbrella. And we are so proud that to be part of this umbrella, not an umbrella, it's a tree with lot of green leaves and lot of transpiration, in my words as a biology teacher. There is a lot of cool we feel under the tree. That's the environment, the ecosystem we made with these kind of giant and eminent scientists of India, and those who led a great organization like ISRO to this high altitude of this achievement. E.K. Kunti sir. And we have some institutions with us. NIT, the prestigious institution in India, and University of Calicut with decades of its records. And these are the basic ground for this nurturing ecosystem for our students. And our students are getting a lot of opportunity to interact with eminent scientists, scholars, and all these things. From the presidential address of Lijesh sir, we understood that our dream man, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, is speaking about to move into the high school classes, but rather than going to the high standard classes or higher education classes. That dream we made true by engaging these kind of activities. The university come to the high school classes, NIT come to the high school classes, all the eminent scientists of India come to the high school classes to make a special ecosystem that will be ever model of India, and we will be proud that we will proudly say that ULCCS has made it's a voluntarily we can say that all these team working under this umbrella only for getting their happiness in this kind of building nation process, and we all work together voluntarily without consideration of any time or any place like that. We are working together. That's the ecosystem, special ecosystem we have made there. It's a model of India. We have so proud to be part of that, and we'll continue that. And thank you all for considering me and speak few words on this occasion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Shajil sir. Next, we would like to move into the most awaited session for today. And our topic is, of course, Chacha Nehru and his role in the development of science in India. We all know that Jawaharlal Nehru, being the first Prime Minister of India, gave a lot of importance to scientific development as a whole. In fact, we know that it was his vision which led to the setup of plenty of scientific institutions in India, like ISRO, for instance, the Atomic Energy Commission, the Indian Institute of Technologies, and many more. So on this birthday of his, we acknowledge all these contributions of him as well. We know that Jawaharlal Nehru was a person who loved children a lot, and of course his birthday today is known as Children's Day, and hence we have quite a few students, very young students, who are going to be speaking with you on the contributions of Chacha Nehru in science of India. So the first person who is going to be speaking to you is Adidev A, and he has been a person who has actively participated in all our activities, and even at such a young age, he has great deal of experience, skill, and knowledge in, say, space science and technology. In fact, he was also the winner of the 3rd prize in the UL Space Quiz, which was conducted for the Moon Day in 2020. And I would like to invite Adidev for his presentation.
Okay, 1 second. One second, my presentation is coming up. Can anybody see that presentation of mine?
Yes, Adidev, we can see it.
Okay. Good evening, respected guests and others. My name is Adidev A. I'm a 4th standard student at Startled School, and I am going to deliver a speech about Chacha Nehru and his role in the development of the Indian science scenario. We all know Jawaharlal Nehru as a freedom fighter, the first Prime Minister of India, and a man who was very fond of children. But he also made a large contribution to the technological and scientific field in India. Nehruji wanted India to have a self-sustainable growth in the technological and scientific field. He placed total faith in science and the scientific approach towards life's problems for tackling the problems faced by the country, and thus making India a better place. Some characteristics of Nehruvian science are: 1. It was a program for socio-cultural change intended to transform society and a prevalent mindset. The Nehruvian vision of science was intended to replace the imperial ideology of the old colonial services with an ideology of science. Number 2. Nehruvian science was state science. Science for the people, but at the direction and discretion of the state. Number 3. Nehruvian science was an institution building project. And number 4. Nehruvian science was primarily designed to inspire national pride and to nurture India's development. And number 5. Nehruvian science was a historiographic project, meaning that it was supposed to rewrite India's history from then on. Nehruji's contributions to Indian science and technology. Nehruji had realized that without science without technology was incomplete. It was his vision which saw the inception and establishment of some of the most important and socially relevant technology hubs of the country. Second, the foundation stone of India's first national laboratory, the National Physical Laboratory, was laid on the 4th of January 1947. This was followed by the setting up of a network of more than 17 national laboratories specializing in different areas of physics. And in 1952, the first of the 5 institutes of technology, patterned after the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, was established at Kharagpur. The other 4 were established subsequently at Madras, Bombay, Kanpur, and Delhi. Nehruji only established the first 5 IITs, but now as of 2020, there are 23 IITs in India. To accomplish his dream of making these institutions world-class centers of research and learning, Nehruji invited a number of scientists and academics, including Homi Bhabha, J.B. Selding, Sir C.V. Raman, Satish Dhawan, Nalini Ranjan Sarkar, J.C. Ghosh, Humayun Kabir, and many others. Steps were also taken to increase India's capacity in the production of defense equipment so that India could gradually become self-sufficient. The DRDO, which does research in the manufacture of missiles, explosives, etc., was founded by Nehru in 1958. Today, the DRDO is a network of more than 50 laboratories which are deeply engaged in developing defense technologies, covering various disciplines like aeronautics, armaments, electronics, combat vehicles, missiles, etc. The Atomic Energy Council, or AEC of India, was also established by Nehruji on the 10th of August 1948. It laid the foundations of a nuclear program due to which India achieved nuclear capable status. Now there are 7 nuclear power plants in India. They are the Kaiga plant in Karnataka, the Kakrapar plant in Gujarat, which is actually the largest nuclear power plant in India, and the one you can see in the picture of my presentation. The Kudangulam and Kalpakam plants in Tamil Nadu, the Narora plant in Uttar Pradesh, and the Tarapur plant in Maharashtra, and the Rawatbhatta, or commonly known as the Rajasthan plant in Rajasthan. And in spite of his great enthusiasm for this inexhaustible source of energy, Nehruji was among the first of the world statesmen who raised their voice against the indiscriminate destruction threatened by nuclear bombs. Although he warned the world repeatedly on the possible misuse of atomic energy, he was firmly convinced that the exploitation of this powerful source of energy was even more important for developing countries like India. Nehru also was the first non-scientist to preside over the Indian Science Congress on the 26th of December 1937. The importance of Nehru in the perspective of Indian history is that he imported and imparted modern values and ways of thinking, which he adapted to Indian conditions. Apart from his stress on the basic unity of India despite its ethnic and religious diversities, Nehru was deeply concerned with carrying India forward to the modern age of scientific discovery and technological development. It was Nehru who built the scientific base of India for India's space and engineering triumphs today. With the establishment of what is now the Indian Space Research Organization, India has achieved the status of space power. And with the Indian Institutes of Technology, or IITs, established in his tenure, Indians now have a worldwide reputation for engineering excellence. His commitment to science changed the face of India. To Nehru, science was the natural agent to the industrialization of India. True science and technology was the only solution to the primary problem of poverty. Now, as a result of Nehru's efforts, India has a sound infrastructure of science, and it may be concluded that it will be worthwhile to continue along the lines that Nehru laid down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adidev. That indeed was a beautiful presentation. In fact, you were able to accumulate all those facts together and bring in a beautiful presentation. The next person to be speaking with you is Harish, and he is also a very bright student. In fact, even at this very young age, even he has a great deal of skill and knowledge in the fields of space science and technology. He was the person who bagged the 3rd prize in UL Space Club's Moon Day Quiz 2020. I invite Harish to give his presentation as well. Harish.
Thank you, Bharatanna.
Adel, your mic is muted.
Hello, everyone. Wait a minute, I'm starting to present. Hello everyone, I am Harish. I am studying 4th standard in Java Vidyalaya School, Chennai. On this special day, I am going to talk about Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's contribution to science. Jawaharlal Nehru was born on 14th November 1889 in Allahabad. His parents were Motilal Nehru and Swarup Rani. He was a graduate of Trinity College, Cambridge. He married Kamala Nehru. He was the first Prime Minister of India. He was elected as a Prime Minister from 1947 to 1964. Nehru's view on science. Nehru was more interested in the social consequence of science than science itself. In his speech delivered at the 47th session of the Indian Science Congress, he observed, "My own main interest in science arises naturally from the social consequences of science than science itself. Science is not a matter of merely looking at test tubes and mixing different gases and producing things, big or small gadgets. Science ultimately is a way of training the minds and the minds working and their whole life functioning according to the ways and methods of science of their whole structure, social and other functioning according to it." Scientific temper. He was the first to use the term scientific temper. After he became the first Prime Minister of independent India in 1947, he relentlessly expanded the notion of scientific temper and strove to impress the leadership of the country to inculcate scientific temper among citizens. The growth of scientific temper is a measure of the extent to which society applies the methods of science to solve its problems. Science should serve society. Nehru's support to science in many ways during his period. The first Indian Institute of Technology was formed in 1951 at Kharagpur, West Bengal. Jawaharlal Nehru attended the first convocation address of IIT Kharagpur in 1956. The other important Indian institutes of technology during this period were IIT Bombay, formed in 1958, IIT Madras in 1959, IIT Kanpur in 1959, IIT Delhi in 1961. The Government of India created the Atomic Energy Establishment AET in Trombay, Mumbai with Homi J. Baba as the founding director on 3rd January 1954. After Homi J. Baba's death in 1966, who is also known as the father of the Indian nuclear program, the center was renamed as Baba Atomic Research Center, BARC, on 22nd January 1967. The Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, was formed in 1958 under the Ministry of Defense. Nehru also supported to space science. In April 1954, Jawaharlal Nehru inaugurated the new building of the Physical Research Laboratory in Ahmedabad. The laboratory had been started in a modest way in 1947 by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. The Physical Research Laboratory is a national research institute for space and allied sciences. ISRO used to be previously known as Indian National Committee for Space Research, was formed in 1962 under the efforts of Jawaharlal Nehru. It later grew into ISRO in 1969. On November 21st, 1963, a sounding rocket took off from the shores of Tumba, Kerala. Then was the Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, TERLS, was born. Nehru was instrumental in laying foundations for the infrastructure for science and technology in India, such as IIT, DRDO, INCOSPAR, and AET, etc. These became the hardware of science and technology in the independent India, while scientific temper among people was the software. Nehru galvanized important scientists and gave them freedom to set up institutes which subsequently became the temples of India's scientific research. The greatest scientists during his period were Homi J. Baba, Sir C.V. Raman, Satish Dhawan, Nalini Ranjan Shankar, J.C. Ghosh, Meghnad Saha, and S.S. Bhatnagar were given a free hand to establish the century's best institute of scientific learning. Nehru's far-sighted vision and admirable leadership is responsible for the development of science and technology in India. He played a major role in establishing a modern scientific and technological infrastructure in our country and strove to promote scientific temper. Over 45 central laboratories in different fields of science were launched during his time. He was also responsible for initiating the first step to launch India into the electronic and space era. What should we do to our country? He invested a lot of his energy into the emancipation of children and the youth who he believed to be the future of the country. He was fondly known as Chacha Nehru by young children, and his birthday is celebrated as Children's Day across India on November 14th. Science-based thinking has to be spread to build scientific awareness among the common people. So Jawaharlal Nehru wanted to emphasize the scientific attitude from the primary level of education. Now it's our turn to continue the legacy of doing something great to our nation, and we should make it. Thank you all, US Place Club mentors, supporters, and science enthusiast students. I'm very blessed to be a part of this science family.
Thank you so much, Harish. In fact, we are all quite baffled at the fact that kids as young as you can present your ideas and your views so beautiful and so clearly. In fact, to be hearing from the two of you on Children's Day is something that all of us are happy about, and it has been a clear pleasure to be hearing from the two of you. We have one more person to be speaking on Chacha Nehru's contributions to science. He is also quite young, but unfortunately, he's not that young. His name is Master Byron, and he has been a person who was the sole reason why UL Space Club even started this webinar series in the first place. Even though he had a lot of other works to do, including exams and all sorts of things, he made sure that our whole webinar series was clear and there was no hindrance in any of our sessions. So it is my pleasure to invite my dear brother, Master Varun, to please express his ideas as well. Welcome, Varun.
Thank you, Bharat. Can you hear me, Bharat?
Yes, Varun.
Sorry, I can't switch on my camera because I have few trouble with my data connection. Sorry for that. I hope that my audio is clear. Anyway, thank you for Bharat for inviting me, and thanks to UL Space Club coordinators for giving me a chance to talk on this golden occasion of UL Space Club webinar series. And the topic that I got to talk to you is quite interesting because it is about Jawaharlal Nehru, the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. More than that, he is a nation builder who created the base for the modern India. So I am very happy to talk about that. Let me share my slide. I have few slides to support my talk on how Chachaji has contributed to Indian space, Indian science scenario. So please let me to share my screen. Bharat, can you see my slide presentation?
Yes, Varnana.
Okay, let me start. Okay, let me start with my intro on this topic because when we start thinking about science and technology in India, especially for youngsters, the youngsters of my age, when we start thinking about science and technology in India, the first name that would enter in our mind is IITs. Who has given the momentum to start IITs? And we know that most of the persons that we have in this meeting is from ISRO. So who started or who supported ISR Vikram Sarabhai to start ISRO? It was from the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. How he supported Vikram Sarabhai is very well known for all of us, but not just IITs and ISRO. More and more from him, as he has lot of contribution to Indian science scenario. Like he is not only there to use science to technical areas or just not to use for space science. He was ready to invest as a prime minister for science in India to enrich the common man of India to be proud of the growth of science. For that, he introduced a term scientific timber for the first time. So Jawaharlal Nehru, just an intro about Jawaharlal Nehru in my first slide. He was born on 1889, November 14th, and he's a first prime minister, as we all know, and he's one of the leader of our freedom fight, and he was a political leader of a political party. And another thing that we should say is he's a founder of NAM. Every scientist would have a concept to serve the society. Like that, this person who has a great scientific timber was also ready to serve the society, not only his country, he's ready to serve the third-class nations with the development of science in his country, our India. That's why he started NAM and take the leadership of NAM as the Prime Minister of India. And like that, I said that he was a leader of a political party, but he's not just a political leader. Then what's the contribution that he had given? Because when we are talking throughout this webinar, we are talking about a lot of contributions from Jawaharlal Nehru, and most of us were talking about so many institutions that Jawaharlal Nehru was started, and what was the result for that? That's also very valuable to think. And he's a man who always supported the Indian science scenario. Like he was the man who support Indian scientists like Homi Jahangir Baba, Vikram Sarabhai, and C.V. Raman, etc. These three are the most known example. There are many others also. Vikram Sarabhai, we know, the founder of ISRO. Recently, I saw a troll in social media that ISRO vision equal to Jawaharlal Nehru and mission equal to Vikram Sarabhai. We know the quote from Vikram Sarabhai that every technical achievement, every achievement of Indian science and technology should be used for the wealth of common man of India. This was actually, we can say, it was a concept from Jawaharlal Nehru, and he supported a lot to Vikram Sarabhai to make it happen. And like I said, he was a man with great scientific timber. He believed that to spread scientific timber, not only, to spread scientific timber, there is no result when we start only scientific institutions. He thought that the people should be proud of each and every scientific growth or scientific experiments that done in his nation. So he started supporting many experiment laboratories like PRL. Vikram Sarabhai started physical research laboratory in ISRO, and Nehru was ready to support for a great infrastructure for PRL, and like TERS, we all know about Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. Nehru was ready to support to invest for a great infrastructure for TERS, Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. More than a support as a prime minister, he was very anxious to see the launching of Nike Apache rocket. That's why he was really involved in the project of that launching of that sounding rocket Nike Apache from Tumba. And the Prime Minister has started IITs. We know that in India now there are 23 IITs. I don't know there is any new IITs have come, or I don't know about that. Recently, I read that there are 23 IITs. So in this, the first 5 IITs were started at the time of Jawaharlal Nehru, and he was very anxious and he was very happy to start about these IITs. Just IITs, ISRO, and he was not thinking that it should get a sudden result or it should be a sudden happiness for the common man of India. He always looked for long-term results, like he was creating a base for the building of a nation. That's why we call him a nation builder. Like I said, Nehru started 5 IITs, and he always thought that every venture in science and technology is for long-term results, like I said, and not just ISRO and IITs. Like I said, he supported many other scientists of India, more than Vikram Sarabhai. Chatterjee started thinking that to spread scientific timber, people should be proud about each development in science and technology. We know that we are capable to export all food products now to any nation in the world. So what about that? Is it was the same situation of 1947? No, never. In 1947, we were having a lack of fruit products in India to feed our people. So he started supporting Green Revolution with the help of M.S. Swaminathan and Dr. Varghese Kurian. He started many revolutions in agricultural fields, like White Revolution, Green Revolution, and Blue Revolution for fishing, like that. He always thought that a science would be there to support these revolutions in agricultural fields. He was not a man who affected by a new thing, always affected by a new thing. If a new update or a news came to his mind, he will study about that. He will work on the results of that, and he always take one decision as a leader. That's the leadership quality that we should study from him. Like this, he was also the same in the case of science. He take one decision for a long-term research. That's why he started thinking about to support scientific experiments to use in medical fields and agricultural fields. For medical fields, he was ready to support the third-class African nations from many pandemic conditions. Right now, we are facing a horrible pandemic condition by COVID virus. Though Jawaharlal Nehru was ready to help third-class African nations as per the direction of Gandhiji when they were fighting together in for freedom fight. And we are all proud about bark. Recently, a movie was there on bark called Parmanu. And who started bark? we know that Homi Jahangir Baba was a man behind that. Not only Homi Jahangir Baba, it was a dream of Jawaharlal Nehru, and he supported Homi Jahangir Baba for that very much. And he was the man behind, or we can say, when we have many technocrats, a project can't make happen, because there should be a leader to lead in front. So that was Nehru for Bark. And also we know our army is one of the strong army in the world. So what the organization behind our army is DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. So Nehru was a man who worked behind DRDO. Like Atomic Energy Commission, he was ready to support every experiment in atomic energy areas and defense research areas. He started defense training academies all over India, and he supported our submarines also. Like I said, he was there to support, found PRL with Sarabhai, and he was not only interested in science, he was interested in technology as well as in science. So he started Bharat Electronics Limited and Hindustan Aeronautic Limited. These are the two eminent organizations of India in technical field. Not just the infrastructure, Nehru's involvement in the development of TERS and also Bharat Electronics Limited and especially Hindustan Aeronautic Limited was very good. Chachaji had a clear picture about how a scientist should behave. Like I said earlier in my previous slides, Chachaji was having a clear picture about a scientist. A scientist should be ready to serve his society at any cost, and he should use his all knowledge to serve the society. Environment and science. We know that environment is the most issue that a scientist is facing. It means pollution. The polluting environment is the threat that our modern science scenario is facing. So, as I told in previous slides, Pandit Nehru was always believed that science and technology should be used to save the nature, to help nature to overcome the crisis. He was not ready to distract the nature with his scientific experiments. Most of the development that we could see now is built with the dream of this great person. Like I said, to our disaster management systems. And also, I just want to add one more point to this area, that is our dams. Before thanking, I just want to talk about our water irrigation system in India. Like Bakranagal Dam, he was ready to use the improvement and the growth of science in his nation for irrigation and for the power supply also. And that's why he called that these are the temples of modern India. That was my brief about how Chachaji has contributed to Indian science scenario. I know that I missed many points because it's not the detailed review about how Chachaji has contributed to Indian science scenario. So I would like to ask all of you to forgive me for missing those points, and please forgive me if there is any other mistakes that I committed during my presentation. And one more point that I would like to add is, for Chachaji, the interest in science was not only after the independence. He became very famous in 1920s actually. When we check his books and articles of that time, we could understand that he was really passionate to science and technology. For example, we can take two books that he have written, like Glimpses of World History and a letter to her daughters. So in that books, he has written very well about how the growth of science, each steps, how each humanity have surpassed the steps of the growth of science and technology throughout the history. He very well studied about that, and that's all about my presentation. Thank you to all for hearing me, and like I said, please forgive me if I committed any mistakes. So that's all about my presentation. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you for inviting me to talk once again.
Thank you so much, Vernetta. It has been a pleasure listening to you. And there is nothing to forgive you because it was absolutely spot on. So before we move forward, can please Sajid sir, Kuli sir, or Shahid sir, please give me confirmation on whether VP M.A. Jairaj is still with us. Somebody.
I cannot see him now. You can proceed with Rajesh sir.
Okay, sir. So we all know that when our country, India, received independence on the stroke of midnight on 15th of August 1947, well, the country was all over the place. Of course, national integration was a matter of great priority. Along with that came things like economic development. But we know that Jawaharlal Nehru was a person who advocated scientific development. Our three speakers have told you of the great number of institutions which were set up under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru. And along with that comes plenty of things like the 5-year plans, the dams and the hydroelectric projects, the atomic energy projects, the thermal energy projects, and all sorts of things. But even then, even now among us, there are plenty of people who believe in pseudoscience and all sorts of things and completely avoid science as a whole. But for us here in UL Space Club, it is an absolute honor to be remembering Jawaharlal Nehru on this very special day. So before we move to the concluding ceremony, I would like to invite our the person who's presided our session, Dr. Lajish, to please come forward and give us a reflection on the three.
Yeah, Bharat, actually, indeed, it is a very eye-opening thing for all of us gathered here. I'm sure that students are enriched by the presenters' views on Chachaji's contribution on science and technology. So I congratulate all the budding researchers, those who have presented this. So especially, I don't remember the name, but it will remain for us for a long lasting thoughts they have provided based on the talks. So and it's definitely remind us all gathered here to see the charming character and the vibrating wisdom while we with them more than the external features when we call them beautiful children all the time. So I appreciate all the speakers. They have done an excellent job, and extensive reading is there. I could say while they going ahead with their speech, they have extensively studied the content. They have conceived the idea of how the modern India developed through the visionary leadership of Chachaji. So I sincerely thank for the entire eminent scholars and the participants gathered here. A good future, and definitely this will guide them in future as well. So it is an excellent presentations done by the students. So that's all. So I am happy that many of us are here will continue to collaborate together. It's a long-lasting relationship, and so we look forward for all your endeavors in future as well. Bharat, you have done an excellent job in anchoring this entire event. So I'm very happy And I extend all the support from the Department of Computer Science and the entire university community here to support you all in the coming events as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sajid sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for your compliment and thank you for your reflection. In fact, Sri PJ Bhatt sir has been, yes, Kuti sir.
Bharat, can I say 2 minutes? Can I take?
Okay, sir, sure.
Dr. Lajish very nicely summed up the whole thing. It has been a very fantastic thing, and your commitment for a webinar session for us is already there. I think that date is 28th, and we are looking forward for that, because yours have been always an encouraging voice for our students. Of course, coming back to the 3 presentations, the webinars did wonders. This thing, when we began, what we couldn't anticipate, what we couldn't envision, has happened in the whole process. One thing that has happened is we discovered Adidev and Harish. It's simply a discovery, and they are studying not even in 5th standard. They are 4th. I thought they were in 5th. And Adidev, I came across when he was in 1st standard itself. He asked to me very fantastic questions as a first student boy. And then I directed him to our planetarium. He came my home and all that. And ever since, I have been seeing him growing. Of course, Varun, Harish, I have never met him. I had no occasion. But he came through our webinar when he started attempting our quiz. And he bagged the prizes in the quiz. And then we found in him lots and lots of thoughts and knowledge. And our Cosmos, the group for the students, see, these 2 are very, very active and bright, and making others also, giving the light and making others also bright as well. So this is a discovery which has happened through the process of webinar, and I thank all of you. We have with us our constant supporting ISRO persons, PJ Bhatt and Papan. They are from beginning itself. They are there. I hope Bharat will permit me to request them to say a few words.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, I am extremely sorry that I spoken some in few times in Malayalam, so I was not recognizing the eminent persons from other than Kerala state. So extremely sorry for that, sir. Definitely looking forward to hear from you. Yeah.
But Saab.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kuti sir. And it has been a pleasure today. In fact, I just want to tell 3 points. I am extremely happy. I was very curious to know what these youngsters will talk today, because I'm a firm believer, very firm believer, in saying that the basics of science and technology have been laid in India by government led by Chacha Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, and I was very curious about them, and especially hats off to Adi and Harish. Of course, Varun is our. We have seen Varun. Varun definitely, I don't want to comment, he is slightly elder, but Varun has spoken very well, covering all aspects. But Adi and Harish, excellent, sir. And especially after Kuti sir, when you told about how you came in contact with them, so happy. That is one part. But more than that, I would like to congratulate UL Space Club for this excellent work. 25 numbers of events which have happened, and a fitting function today to mark this event. And it gives a lot of things about how it is going to go in future. Only one thing I feel sorry, Kuti sir has requested me several times to come and give a talk. Because of a doctor's advice on some throat-related problem, I am not able to do it. But sir, Kuti sir, I will definitely come back, and I am itching to come and give a talk on this thing. Third thing I want to mention about is 2 aspects on Chacha Jawaharlal Nehru. These youngsters and many of our respected, they have covered so well about the contribution. One aspect which, of course, all of us know, but I want to highlight that. Imagine this being done in 50s. I am sure Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru would have faced many voices of dissent for doing things like establishing Incos Park, for example, and doing, going ahead and launching a rocket. We have seen some reactions when Aryabhatta launch has taken place. Kurti sir agrees with me. Aryabhatta launch has taken place. We have ourselves gone through harsh comments. At that time in 1975, imagine in 50s, laying the foundation stone for these kind of things, heading a government, fresh government, number one. Number two, I just want to bring out one more point. Today also happens to be the day on which our Chandrayaan moon impact payload was hard landed on moon. It was a payload which was added at the last moment by the suggestion of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And that place where it has landed is named officially as Jawahar Point. Now, this is a tribute to the great person who has laid the foundation of science and technology in India. With these 3 points I want to convey, and I wish all the best to all the members of US Place Club. I am also a part of it, and especially the youngsters. And let us go ahead, and I'm sure great things are going to happen. You have launched a website also today. Thank you so much.
Hello, Papan. Your turn, please.
Sir, Padmanabhan sir is not available. Sundaramurthy sir is there.
Hello, Sundaramurthy. Please come and say a few words. I missed you. I didn't see your name. I only saw it just now. Please. Mr. T.K. Sundaramurthy. Please do come and spare 2 minutes for us.
Good afternoon to everyone. It's really a great pleasure for me to share few things in this. But indeed, it's a very great thing by Dr. Kuti Sar's initiative, this club. And now, even in this pandemic period, now we have completed 25 webinars. And today it is a very special one because it is a tribute to Chacha Nehru and the way the two kids, Adi and Harish. In fact, if I recall my 4th standard day, I am afraid to say that I may not be able to read a complete sentence fully. That was the case in me, whereas today these kids, they have nicely compiled the achievements of Chacha Nehru in science and then presented boldly and very clearly. In fact, that is what is very much appreciable, is they were very clear in their thought process, and then while presenting they were very confident. And I am sure that they will definitely come up and do something great in the science field. Next one, of course, Varun. Anyway, we need not say, as everyone knows, like our other guy and these two, they are the pillars, Bharat and these two are pillars for the club. I once again congratulate for them for their things. Then I think PJ, like our mentors in ISRO. Okay, I think it's a great thing. Congratulations to the kids especially, and then thanks for all of you for making this effort. And okay, with this I will conclude my few words. Thank you.
Over to Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Sundaramurthy sir. There's also one more person who is left, that is Jairam sir. He hasn't given us a reflection on the topic. So Jairam sir, can you please give us your reflection as well?
No, it has been excellent and good rendition by both Adidev and the other person, and
Harish.
Harish, yeah, Harish. And as Sundaramurthy sir rightly said, no, at the when we were all in fourth standard, we were hardly able to comprehend things actually. But these people, the way they are handling the presentation, they are even if they are a little bit not able to put on the presentation, the type of confidence that they are showing, and they are able to put across their points of view. Very, very, very nice. And it is this sort of people that we have to invent or discover and then groom them and bring them. And definitely the future of our country is in safe hands. Thank you very much. The presentation was very good. Of course, Varun also did a decent job of things. And he was preoccupied with so many things, and it's another feather in his cap. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
For you too. You are holding the fort commendably well.
Thank you, sir. In fact, throughout the presentation, we have told you about something called Cosmos and all these membership kind of things that we talk about UL Space Club. So there's a little bit of an update that I would like to give you about Cosmos. So Cosmos is actually the primary what do you call it, the primary group for UL Space Club, from which you can get inducted into the club. So it is actually a WhatsApp group where you can get all sorts of updates of our programs, as well as the fact that you can indulge in plenty of discussions on exciting facts with a lot of other students with similar interests. So if you are a person who is interested in space science or just science as a whole, you can become part of our group by giving me or Varun a message, and we'll ask you a few questions, and if you answer them, you'll get inducted into the Cosmos group. Before we move into the concluding ceremony, there's one more thing that we have to do, and that is the announcement of the sessions for next week. So I would like to request Kuti sir to please give an idea about the next week's program as well.
The next Saturday, the 26th session of the webinar will be conducted by Mr. Neelakandan, who was the director of the ISRO's satellite communication program. He is going to talk on principles of satellite communication and its applications. Principles of satellite communication and its applications. So that is the next thing. Then subsequent one on 28th, as I already mentioned, I believe, our Lijesh sir, Dr. Lijesh is already here. He is going to present you his topic, and please get ready. And he has given you a lot of imagination about how digital world, how computers, how Internet of Things, etc., going to rule the world. So hopefully both these sessions will excite you, and this is about the next two programs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kuti sir. It has been a beautiful couple of hours. All of us have stayed till the end, and it is time for us to conclude the session. So I would like to invite T. Damodaran sir, a person who plays a lead role in connecting UL Space Club with ULCCS. I invite T. Damodaran sir to please give the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is a remarkable day as it is Children's Day. And on this day, we are celebrating the 25th edition of webinar series conducted by the UL Space Club, and also launched a website that was eagerly awaited. For the few years, we have been conducting a number of space camps and study tours. In the pandemic situation, we were unable to conduct such camps and study tours, but UL Space Club organizers were not ready to succumb to COVID-19 pandemic and decided to make use of information technology and conduct webinars. By today, 25 webinars have already been successfully conducted. Professors, scientists, engineers, and academicians from prestigious institutions participated and supported our endeavors. I think this might be a record to conduct 25 webinars serially without any stick. On every Saturday, space curious minds eagerly waited for the stipulated time, that is 3 p.m. It is a matter of pride for us. Today, our prestigious chief guest, Professor Dr. M.K. Jayaraj, joined us and inaugurated the celebration of 25th webinar and launched the UL Space Club website. He made a scholastic and brilliant speech and pointed out the difference between science and scientific temper and exhorted to the students to have scientific temper for the building of our nation. On behalf of ULCCS Foundation, I extend our sincere thanks to Professor Dr. M.K. Jayaraj. Thank you, sir. Our honorable guest, Dr. Legish VL, presided over the function and made an excellent speech. In his words, he tried to establish the domination of computer science and importance of data in future human life. We extend our sincere thanks to Dr. Legish VL. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Then Dr. Sujit A, HOD Chemistry Department, NIT Calicut, and Dr. Muhammad Shaheen, Assistant Professor, Physics Department, Calicut University, have participated in this program. These two honorable teachers are always with us and working as a part of UL Space Club and worked on the IDEO project. And they cooperated and helped out for conducting space camp in their institution. In this moment, we appreciate their hardship and cooperation. I extend our hearty thanks to Dr. Sujit A and Dr. Muhammad Shaheen for their valuable words. Thank you, sir. Next, I must thank the chief mentor and backbone of UL Space Club, Sri E.K. Sir, the former director of ISRO, who is a bridge between the UL Space Club and prestigious personalities in and out of Kerala to become a part of webinar series and other academic activities. Thank you, sir. Next, I would thank Sri K. Jayaraman, retired Deputy Director ISRO, who also is a part of UL Space Club to this for participating in this program. Then I thank the little scientists who made brilliant presentations on Chacha Nehru and his role in the development of science in India. Considering the age and classes in which they study, they have made a very good job and brilliant presentation they have made. Congratulations. I appreciate their attempt. Master Varun's presentation was very good and contained a lot of information. I happily thank Master Varun, Master Adidev, and Master Harish. I also thank the organizers.
Shajil Mash.
Okay. I also thank the organizers of the program, Sri UK Shajil, Master Bharat, Master Sriram, Master Adidev, and who toiled for the success of this program. Bharat has done very well. Congratulations, Bharat. I also thank all the veterans like Bhatt sir, Sundaramurthy sir, Padmanabhan sir for participating in this program and giving some words for us. I thank all the students, parents, and other viewers who are watching on the medias like YouTube and Facebook. Once again, I thank all the participants. Thanks.
Dr. Rajesh, we owe a great deal to you because this day you have helped us in organizing and also getting the VC and things like that. So nice of you, sir.
Pleasure, sir. Pleasure. Yeah.
So 28th we'll see again.
Sure, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.